I'm so tired of people saying that it's just a movie, it's just a comic book, it's just a TV show. No, it's not. Stories are the building blocks of our culture, of ourselves, even of our own psychology. We are a product of the stories we tell ourselves about our own past and the experiences on a daily basis, but also the stories that we choose to spend time with. What types of values, our feelings, or whatever are they promoting? What types that we like to spend our time around? They're going to shape us. They're going to shape our personality and character, and they're going to shape our perception of the world and the acts and behaviors that we put out into the world. And people don't understand that. They go, it's just a movie. It's just this. I can like and promote whatever I want. Well, of course you can, but you should pay attention to the responsibility that you have.
Consume stories responsibly.
As a member of society, as a human being, responsibility to yourself.
Consider the consequences.
You need some balance. You need some certain criteria that is going to make sure you're promoting the right kind of works, or at least have thought through the type of work that this or that story is going to do in our culture, and then make your own decision whether or not that's something you want to support.
Consume stories responsibly. Consider the consequences. Consume stories responsibly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to what is the first of Friday night streams with the Prof. I don't really have a name for it yet. I don't even know if I need a name for it yet, but gonna start doing this every Friday night. And it's going to be, a number of things. It's on the one hand, it's going to be, we will talk about some geek news stuff, but I don't really want to turn it into just a decompression of the week's geek news. Maybe we'll definitely do some geek news if it's, of interest to me or whatever. But I'll pick a main topic each week like this, and then, then we'll have a little chat about it, and I'll give you my analysis or my thoughts on it, and then, might have a little free-for-all Q&A. We'll see how it goes. But I did want to go ahead and do this, though. It's in a way, it's a little bit of a replacement for the old office hours stream. It's not exactly that, because office hours it got kind of out of control for me to the point where I wasn't quite enjoying it as much. So this is a way for me to address at least pick up some slack that office hours left off on my channel anyway, and then go ahead and talk about it and do other things that can maintain a certain level of control over it. So we are going to talk about Godzilla versus Kong tonight. I'm really excited about that. It was epic film. So we'll get to that in a second. But great to see so many people here. That's awesome. These I haven't done streaming on weekend nights in forever. The only regular stream I did was when I used to do Saturday night rewatches, and movie rewatches are, you're not going to gain a large audience for that. And you don't that going into it, right? You're just doing it to provide an analysis of a film for your core audience, those who are interested in it. But as my schedule starts to free up a little bit with the oncoming summer, semesters are wrapping up now. All the major work is over. But yeah, not gonna leave those prime time streaming hours untouched anymore for my channel. So I'm gonna try it out for a while. Every Friday night I'll be here for at least a while. We'll see how it goes, see what you guys react to it, see how people like it and whatnot. So yeah, it's gonna be fun though. If you think of a name, let me know. I don't even know if it needs a name again, like I said, but we'll see. But do want to welcome everybody in the chat who's here. We do have quite a few folks, but welcome. And Nathaniel Zalozabal is just really, really excited. He was talking. So when I was, I set up the stream and I kept the window open, but it does, every couple hours or whatever, you lose the comments that were there to begin with. So I don't know who was there all the way back. I think maybe Schooner Tuna might have been there at some point. I did see Matthew Flynn, Alec Purdue, and I see a lot of what Nathaniel has to talk about, but that's no problem. Nathaniel, you talk away. Go for it. So welcome. I see Devinatal Kayan. Welcome. My dear sound engraver, good to see you there. Let's see. Samuel Proctor, Melissa Harris and Sons, Image Incorporated. Awesome. JTIS Reborn. Great to see you there. Great to see you. So, yeah, we're going to talk about Godzilla versus Kong. I don't know if you didn't catch it. I did release just the other day. I call it a super cut, but I put together two of my videos previously that I'd done on specifically Kong, because Kong's my real interest in this film universe. I do like, I like the Godzilla movies too; they were great. But Kong's the character that I really, connect with for a number of reasons, which I'll explain. But the one that I didn't add as part of it was my review of the graphic novels, because there are graphic novels that are part of this tie-in, to this universe, and I love that, right? Because I mentioned in my graphic novel review that I did a while ago that you've got the Marvel Cinematic Universe is no more. I mean, they're still pretending that they're a thing, but they're garbage. They've solidly changed the direction, solidly changed the character arcs, solidly changed everything. They're going into the agenda area now. So that's nothing to follow and get excited about. Star Wars, what is that? That's nothing to follow and get excited about right now. Don't even get me started on DC Extended Universe, of course. So, the days of the Extended Universe are kind of gone. And a lot of people think, and they say, well, that the Extended Universe or the shared universe, that's run its course. People really aren't into that anymore. Yes, they are. People, the film companies just can't do it right. Marvel dropped the ball. Marvel was doing it incredibly well. People just can't do it well anymore. I haven't seen the Conjuring movies, but I understand that's sort of a shared universe, and that seems to have been pretty popular there. Shared universes are fine. There's nothing stale or wrong with that idea. It's just that so rarely can a film production company actually get it right and do it right and maintain it, So with the legendary Monsterverse, we're seeing that, we saw it. I don't know. I haven't checked the news. Maybe some of you guys can tell me in the chat. Has there been any news as to, are they going to continue? I know that Godzilla King of Monsters didn't do as well as they'd hoped in the theaters. So it was kind of iffy, if they were even going to do anything. But I know Godzilla versus Kong has just been crazy popular. I don't know if they still made enough money having to air it on HBO Max as well as, put it in some theaters. So I don't know what the case there is, if it's made enough for them to decide to continue it, if that's even a possibility. I noticed that there was no end credit scene, which I was kind of bummed about, because that sort of tells you maybe they put a bow on it and are done with it, which is just really such a shame. The graphic novels were great. The graphic novels, and we'll get to the meat of it here in a second. I like to give a little bit of an intro and stuff like that at first to let people get a chance to come on in, So if you're just dropping in now, you haven't missed any of the meat of my analysis of the movie yet, or my thoughts on it. We'll get there in a second. But these comics, I know a lot of you have checked it out. If you haven't, Godzilla the Awakening, this is a prequel to the first 2014 Godzilla movie. And it's great. It's Dr. Serizawa's father, his deal, and you have Godzilla fighting another Motu even before the Motus that we see in the Godzilla 2014 movie. My favorite, right up there with Kingdom Kong, but Skull Island, the birth of Kong. This is such an epic. This was kind of like the origin story of Kong. And as I say in my review video there, and I'll link it to this video when I'm done with the stream, but it really is, it sets up Kong on a hero's journey. I mean, you know specifically his origin story, his parents, different things that happened and whatnot. And you also see Kong, it establishes him as a hero who cares about human life, who is there to protect human life. Actually, humans aren't just human ants to him. He's there to protect. He's there, which is such a cool idea in this Monsterverse's take on Kong. I'll talk about that in a second when I get to what's different about this universe. And then we had Godzilla Aftershock, which was the prequel to King of Monsters. Great book as well. Really kind of set up the King of Monsters movie, because a lot was going on in King of Monsters that you kind of had to. It was well written, it was well done, but the audience had to kind of play catch up a little bit with the first 10, 15 minutes or whatever of the film. They did it in a good way. It wasn't an exposition dump. It was action. It was told through action, and that was great. But there was a lot. There was a lot they had to kind of cover of what had happened. And then recently, of course, for Godzilla versus Kong, I did read Kingdom Kong, which is solid. It's wonderful. I'm not going to say too much about this or the I forget the Godzilla name. I haven't read the Godzilla one yet. That's being delivered to my house tomorrow. So I'm going to take that and read it over the weekend when I'm on my trip here. But I will be doing a review of these, and I'll release a review of this one and the Godzilla prequel comic there next week, early next week at some point. So you can have that there. What was I going to say? I don't remember, but I won't say too much about those until I do a proper review of those. So yeah, it's just great. I mean, that's. I don't know I haven't really looked into it to see who the top dog is at at Legendary for the MonsterVerse. You know, I don't know if they have somebody who's like a Kevin Feige or not. Even Kevin Feige's name is dirt right now, you know, as far as I'm concerned, because he totally dropped the ball. So he just, you know, he changed. He was still in charge, and he drastically, blatantly, you know, boldly changed the entire course of direction for the MCU to go toward agenda. And I don't know why he did that, or if that was somebody that else was holding him back from that the whole time. I don't know, whatever. But having him in power and thinking it was him doing all the great stuff, which maybe it was, I don't know, kind of made me think, and I've done videos on this too, that, you know, to do a shared universe well like this, you really do need one or two, you know, you need somebody there who's really at control of all of the comics, all of the films, everything like that. You know, the beauty of a shared universe is that you bring in individual directors to put their spin on it. And there have been individual directors of all these MonstersVerse movies, and I love that, you know, because you've had different feels for the films. That's been wonderful. I love that. But you have somebody there at the helm who kind of maintains and makes sure that it is all one one overall theme, one overall story. It's moving in the same direction to the same place. None of the individual units of the shared universe are betraying the characters, you know, in their arcs or their progressions or anything like that. So I don't know if somebody's like that is there for the Godzilla and Kong universe, Legendary universe. I don't even know what we call it. I heard people calling it the MonsterVerse. I tend to say the Legendary MonsterVerse just to differentiate it from all of the kaiju films that have been made in the past, or all the Kong films they've made in the past and whatnot. So I don't know, but you know, however they've done it, it's done a good job so far, and I do hope we get more. Really do hope we get more. So let me, where do I start here? You might notice that I'm a little behind the eight ball on talking about Godzilla versus Kong, because it's been out for a while, right? I was really excited for this movie. Because of the universe's treatment of Kong. It spoke to me so much. You know, as I said in one of my videos, in a world today where they're taking away every aspirational hero we have, they're just stripping it away from us. Superman has to be deconstructed and blah, 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 and replaced. Captain America is an old dead white guy. Let's get rid of him and throw in a bunch of, virtue signaling characters and blah, blah, blah. Thor's not worthy. Lady Thor, come on. You know, they took away every possible aspirational hero we had. And as I said too in the previous video, that culture needs aspirational heroes. You can think you don't all you want. You know, people who are like, well, I like the more relatable, like blah, 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 blah. Culture needs a precious few aspirational heroes to remain. And if you take them away, if you take them out of comics, if you take them away here, they'll pop up in some of the least expected places. And I did not expect King Kong to be our freaking aspirational hero, but he is. He absolutely is. He is in a way that Godzilla absolutely is not in this universe. There go the wrinkled feathers. And that's what drew him to me, you know? So I was really excited about the movie. The reason I didn't even watch the movie until a couple nights ago, Godzilla fans, you guys, and I'm speaking in general, of course, not every individual one of you is a Godzilla fan. Oh my gosh, Godzilla fans, you guys are like worse than anime fans and furry fans put together. I mean, and what I mean by that is the thing is, you're not trolls. You're not rude, obnoxious, mean trolls like Snyder Bros or anything. Godzilla fans are more like Jehovah's Witnesses. They knock on your door, they come to your channel. We see you're talking about Kong. Have you heard about our Lord and Savior Godzilla? I'm not really interested in that. That's cool that you like that. That's cool. That's great. But, you know, I'm really into Kong, and that's fun. Well, how about you watch this movie and take this reading material, and I'll be back tomorrow and we'll talk about it. No. Did you hear any of the words coming out of my mouth? I'm not interested in it. Can't have it. Don't want to hear it. You know, they just relentless. And I got so sick of everything I would say about Kong had to be, refuted or a rebuttal. And the same thing had to be said for Godzilla. It's like, it sapped the fun out of the whole thing for me. So I didn't even watch the movie. I made myself watch it a couple nights ago because I knew, okay, look, you know, I'm doing a YouTube channel. You got to talk about this movie. You've talked about it, you know, a little bit, you know, coming up to it. You've got to deliver. So I did. And as I'm watching the movie, I'm happy to report that all the excitement just rushed right back. I love how they treated Kong. I love how Godzilla and Kong interacted throughout the whole thing. I have no problems with this as a Kong fan. I'll explain why in a second. You can't watch these movies as the only thing that I haven't consumed of this universe is I haven't completed the novelizations yet. I am reading Godzilla King of Monsters novelization right now, and after that, I'll read the Kong Skull Island novelization. So some people are saying, you know, when I'm pointing out that, look, what these movies have shown us is that Kong and Godzilla are completely different characters. Okay. One's not great and the other one's crap. You know, no one's saying that. I've never said a bad thing about Godzilla, but he's not the same character and the same kind of archetype as they portrayed Kong as. And I've heard people say, well, if you read the novelization, no, I haven't finished them all, but even if the novelizations put in something totally random, that's no argument. Novelization doesn't speak to canon. The movies are the canon. The novelization is an author looking at the script and then embellishing it into a different medium of story. So you can have, you might be able to have an interiority of Godzilla, in a moment or something like that you couldn't show in film because you can't, you're going to, overdub a narration for his interiority. That'd be stupid, but you can do that in prose. Even if, let's say, somewhere when I read the novelization of Godzilla versus Kong, that, Godzilla is terribly worried about all the people and blah, 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 blah. That's not in the movies. And you can't count that as that's canon and that's whatever. Maybe that's for you. That's how you choose to see it. And that's fine. That is perfectly fine for you. But you can't make that argument that that's what he is in these movies for everybody. Therefore, take that. The Superman Returns novelization didn't even have, what's his name, as Superman's son. I mean, so is that canon too? No, it's very different, So you can't, novelizations don't trump the movies when there are differences like that. Sometimes they can embellish in really cool ways. So I'm looking forward to reading them. Owen Lister, thank you very much, sir, for the super chat. Where'd you go here? There you go. Says Kong was definitely the Superman of the Monsterverse, while I see Godzilla as a neutral anti-hero. Interesting. I like that point. I wouldn't necessarily call him an anti-hero. I think he's his own heroic archetype, but he's a very different, according to the themes of the movie, which I'll get into in a second, he's a very different type of archetype, type of hero, type of character. Very different. He's not an aspirational hero for a number of reasons, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's an anti-hero in my view. I wouldn't call him an anti-hero, but I like, you got an interesting analysis there. And thank you very much for the super chat. Very much appreciate it. Oh, there we go. So to go at it here, I'll start with Kong and then we'll move into Godzilla. Cause I think, this is how I got into it. When I watched the Godzilla 2014 movie and really liked it, I was never a fan of kaiju movies in general. I had nothing against them. It just wasn't my thing. I never got into that kind of thing. Like, oh, big monster smashing things, it just wasn't for me. But I watched the 2014 Godzilla movie. And I was really blown away by what a great human story they told with the humans around it. I mean, that was more so than Godzilla King of Monsters. You really had in-depth humans that you were given their story arc in. You had wonderful actors. So throughout all the movies, I think you've got wonderful actors. And, at least they did a good job in these movies. I'll even cut Brie Larson a break. She did fine for her role in Kong Skull Island. But, I really loved the 2014 Godzilla movie. But when I saw Kong Skull Island, if you saw my analysis of it, talking about Super Kong, I mean, they made Kong the superhero. So if you go back and if you were to go back and read Marion C. Cooper's original novel, King Kong, and that was what was made into the original film in the 30s, the first black and white kind of stop animation, that just blew everybody away. That can look cheesy to people now, but that was amazing. That was landmark filmmaking of its day. Special effects, that was a huge deal. And kids going to the theater watching that, they truly believed that King Kong existed. There was a giant ape, that was just they believed it. It was wonderful, and it was really an impactful film. The reason that story from the novel to the film and everything was so impactful, and it really just became part of the American subconscious, the cultural fabric. Everybody knew. You say King Kong, and they to this day they still know. Even before the legendary verse, people knew who King Kong was. A little museum. It's like a Dino World kind of museum that's not too far from my house. And as soon as all this quarantine nonsense and stuff like that is over, I really want to go back and see it because it has they've got a huge statue of Kong, and you've got the hand of Kong laying on the ground. And from perspective, if you take the picture in front of the hand, it looks like the statue is incredibly high and he's like resting his hand down the ground. And so somebody can climb up and sit in the hand and get a picture like, you're in Kong's hand or whatever. It's really cool. hope they still maintained it. I don't know. I haven't been in forever, but that's part of the social fabric. Now, the reason why that original Kong story was like that is because of the themes of what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be human? So just about in every Kong telling or cinematic version or whatever, you have Hollywood people, that original Kong story. You have Hollywood people going to Skull Island to shoot. They're there to make money. There's an element of greed there, a great big element of greed. There's often an element of let's exploit the natural resources and the peoples of this island. Let's make them work for us so we can make money out of this movie. So there's a real, where is the human compassion there, right? And there's usually, the natives of the of Skull Island, the Iwis, as they're called sometimes, are often more advanced as they are in the Kong Skull Island. Really did this, but you see elements of it in some other tellings. They're a little more advanced. So like who's the truly civilized one? The people who are coming there to exploit it, or the people who are just living there in peace and harmony? So there's what does it mean to be human? Then you bring Kong into the mix in these classic Kong story, and he's usually in every one he's fighting some sort of reptilian monster on the island there. He's fighting a T-Rex, or he's fighting lizards, or he usually fights some sort of reptilian monsters there on Kong Skull Island. That's part of their adventure while he's there. But then King Kong in the classic stories falls for Andero. Fay Wray's character, I even think what's her name in the Peter Jackson version did a pretty good job, but even though that was a very different take on it. But Andero, he falls for Andero. So then what you have there is King Kong, this giant ape. He's we have themes of the evolutionary chain there. The large primate who's the top of the evolutionary chain on this island. He's the king, right? Because he can take out anybody else. He's not on anybody's food list, right? But we see him in those original films. He succumbs to a very basic, very primal urge, which civilized man has learned to curb and hopefully, lust, right? King Kong in those classic movies sees Andero and he's like, hubba hubba, he wants that girl for himself, and that's where he kidnaps her and takes her around, and she becomes the only one that can soothe the savage beast. And there's a great sort of beauty, and there is a bit of a progression and character development even between the two of them that happens as they take him back, and they take Kong back, they steal him and bring him back to the mainland, to Western world for money, to exploit him, So it's who's more human there, by the end of the original King Kong movie, you're supposed to be looking at the people, our heroes of the story who brought him there, and think, you guys are more beastly than Kong was. That's the kind of story that are the kind of message, that's the feeling you're supposed to get from those movies, and they really resonate with people. They're well done, they're not preachy, but they present the themes, and they're questioning what does it mean to be human. That's a wonderful, beautiful way to tell a story, and that's what's made those original King Kong films resonate so much. What I love so much about Kong Skull Island was that they took Kong and made him the most human character of them all. He is there protecting that island. Yes, he'll kill predators. He is the king, as Marlowe says in that movie, but he is there to protect, the poor creatures, the agricultural creatures, who are that one sort of bison-like thing that's stuck, he lifts it up and helps it free. He takes care of certain animals. He takes care of the island. He's it's almost like a primal Adam in the Garden of Eden almost, it really is that kind of idea. And he's there to save humans as well. He's not just, he's not slaughtering, the natives stay out of his way, but they're not terrified of him like he's a tyrant. As Marlowe says, he's a pretty good king. But you U.S. soldiers have come dropping bombs on his front yard, and that there's reasons, the skull crawlers are summoned up. And as I said in my review of that, the skull crawlers, again, playing into this idea of the evolutionary chain, they're called skull crawlers. Well, skull is an empty head. They're reptilian. They only have two front arms. They don't even have, they just have a tail behind it. So it's sort of that tadpole-like creature just crawling out of the primordial ooze. There's these evolutionary chain images, and we have the theme there. And Kong is the most advanced cognitively. He is the most advanced. He uses tools. He's not just about brute strength. He uses his brain, and he's there to protect, to save. It's I can't recommend Kong Skull Island enough. It's just a wonderful, epic film. And I was really a little how they were going to treat Kong in the Godzilla versus Kong film, because at this point, you've given Godzilla 2 movies and then you just pair him up with Kong. I was like, but as many people as you guys who have seen it already know, that Godzilla versus Kong film, that was King Kong's movie 100% all the way. Godzilla's in the title and he's in the movie, but you don't follow Godzilla's arc, you follow Kong's arc. Absolutely 100%. I'm trying to think how to transition to this. So a lot of spoilers here. Okay, a lot of spoilers here. If you haven't seen the movie and you think you want to, tune out. I don't blame you. But when it comes to the directors, before the movie came out, I was thinking, please don't actually make one of them win over the other, because that would be I couldn't imagine a way that wouldn't be detrimental to one character or the other. I just couldn't imagine a way that was. And the director was saying before the film came out, no, we're not going to do a gotcha. This is definitely, one's going to win. There's a clear winner of this battle. And I was really bummed about that. On the one hand, I was bummed because I knew that I felt like the movies were already privileging Godzilla. I was like, oh, great, they're just gonna make Kong lose or whatever. But even if Kong won, I was like, that it just didn't sit well with me. I was like, that doesn't match the story thus far. Because for Godzilla, up to this point in Kong versus Godzilla, King of Monsters really established Godzilla. Not. I'm sorry if you're a Godzilla fan and you want to twist every little thing in the film to make it match this interpretation. Not the same as Kong. He's not there cognitively to protect human life. He's a primal force of nature. And we realize that these titans are there. Now, Godzilla is the benevolent force of nature. So he is the one you want ruling as the alpha. In Godzilla King of Monsters, we realize that. Ghidorah is the alien that's coming in there outside of our ecosystem, in Earth's, Titan history and everything like that. So that's what's complicating everything and making all the other titans violent and whatnot. And it takes Godzilla with his benevolence and his calming to once he rules, all of the other titans are calm, they're passive, they're not attacking humans. That's great. I was rooting for Godzilla and Godzilla King of Monsters. In fact, that scene when he goes underwater to his his cave, like his home down there to rejuvenate after he's been so wounded, that was wonderful. That was really kind of touching, actually. It was almost like a Christ-like death and resurrection moment. It was actually really cool. That was amazing. I love that. But you can't say the same thing about Godzilla in terms of the way the film has developed their stories that you can about Kong, and that Godzilla's not as cognitive of a creature. He is reptilian. Okay. Now, when you look at the themes that these films have set up about the evolutionary chain, well, reptilian is lower on the chain than a primate, than a mammal, So, but that's not to say that Godzilla is, just as stupid as a lizard you might see on your deck or anything either. No, he's a hero, but he's not the same. He's not the same as Kong in that sec. He doesn't have the cognitive. He's more primally driven. Now he's benevolent by nature, but he's more primally driven. Godzilla, you don't get in his way. He's going to, it's not just like Kong. If he knows you're an enemy, if you're there to cross him, yeah, he'll kill you. He's but as a creature, as we see him doing Kong versus Godzilla to those people who are trying to, the villains, in the ship there. But Godzilla, if even if you're an innocent and you just happen to be in his path, he'll step right on you. He doesn't care. He'll walk right over you. And so Godzilla is a benevolent hero, and he's there to we can follow him and root for him there. But he's not the same as Kong, because Kong has the higher cognitive function. So now this gets to what happened in Godzilla versus Kong in their encounters. Okay, the first time we see them encounter is when King Kong is being transported. Right, they're transporting him to Antarctica to see if he'll take them to Hollow Earth, by genetic memory and so forth. He's just on the ship. And why is he there? They take this, what used to be a story of the woman taming the beast, with Ann Darrow. They've taken it and put a little girl there. So it's no longer Kong acting out of primal lust or anything. Now it's a wonderful image of masculinity, actually. It's an amazing image of masculinity. We're so used to seeing masculinity in films today being, totally marginalized and called toxic and blah, blah, blah. and any kind of man character that they will privilege is just somebody who apologizes for his penis all the time and blah, blah, blah. No, Kong is very masculine, but what is his driving force? To protect that little girl. All of a sudden, he's become a father-like character. That is real masculinity, not to take for yourself and be aggressive for the sake of aggression or whatever. It's there to protect. What is masculine strength for? It's there to protect. And you be assertive and you do all these things, but it's there to protect. It's not there to whine and wimpy out and whatever, but you're there to protect. And they did that wonderfully with Kong. So he's there, even on the ship. You get the idea he probably could be less compliant and they'd have a lot harder time managing him if it wasn't for that girl there that he sort of made this promise to protect her, and we see there on the ship as well that he's learned sign language. He can actually communicate. Good luck getting Godzilla to do that. He can communicate. Now, not that Godzilla's a bad guy again, but Godzilla seeks Kong out completely unprovoked because of this primal ancient rivalry in him that he has to dominate. He has to be the alpha fighter. Any kind of, threat to him, possible threat to him, he has to dominate him and be the alpha. Well, that's the reptilian stem of our brain speaking. That's not civilized behavior at all. Now it's okay if of all the Titans you want to be the alpha, you certainly want Godzilla in the sense that he's the one who can give that benevolent influence on all the rest of them and make them calm and peaceful and whatnot. Sure. But he's the aggressor here. He's the bad guy, quote unquote, in this moment, even though he's not actually a bad guy, or an anti-hero. But he totally unprovoked attacks Kong, and Kong right there in the water. I mean, he kicks his butt. Kong is there was, I don't think it got to be so bad that Godzilla had to just try to use the water around him and the environment to win. It wasn't until Godzilla drags him underwater trying to drown him that, he's going to win. Kong, it was even in the water, it was really amazing. I was really impressed with that. And the humans around them, they killed all the power on the ships and they said, let Godzilla think he's won. Kong is just trying to catch his breath. He's, there, they've gotten him out of the water on the ship. Let Godzilla think he's won. Then that alpha urge within him, that uncontrollable, non-self-control, just alpha urge won't make him attack Kong anymore. So he goes on away. He thinks, okay, put him in his place. I've won, Kong and Godzilla goes away. Now Godzilla's own journey in this film, he's trying to take out the telepathic signals that are still emanating from Ghidorah's skull. And that's good. That's right. That's a threat that you don't want out there. Because as we'll see, Apex has no handle on the possible things that can go wrong with that. But Kong then, what does Kong do? Does Kong go out and try to seek revenge on Godzilla? No. They take Kong after having tranquilized him. I should add that. He did this whole fight with Godzilla after being heavily tranked and caged up on that ship, for quite a while. They then take him to Antarctica, which is not his natural habitat. He's freezing, They make him go through hollow Earth. They make him fall through like the center of the flipping Earth with the inverted gravity thing and everything. Talk about being disoriented. He fights a bunch of people, other creatures in hollow Earth, goes and finds his place, and he finds his home. So you get we find out that the Kong, his ancestors ruled hollow Earth, which is a really cool thing. And how does he know that? Because there's an axe that's like his scepter, but it's a tool, right? We said Kong uses tools. We've seen him do this. So there's a tool, there's an axe. An axe kind of takes on this energy from hollow Earth. Well, Godzilla, what happens to him? Godzilla at that point is off trying to track down Ghidorah's telepathic signal, and good, right? He needs to take that out. But when Kong is in hollow Earth and taps into that energy there, that alpha primal urge, uncontrollable, primal reptilian stem of Godzilla kicks in, and he's like, grr, there's a threat to me somewhere. So he just, uses his atomic breath to drill a hole down to hollow Earth and attacks Kong again. So Kong goes back up to deal with him, really epic fights. Even Godzilla's atomic breath is no match for Kong when he can use his tools, when he's got that, the different things to shield it. The only way that Godzilla gets an upper hand on Kong is because of the atomic breath in the end, when his tool is lost and whatnot. And then they do have this moment. So talk about which of the Titans definitively wins this alpha struggle. It's Godzilla, because Godzilla's used an atomic breath. He's worn down Kong. We see Kong's shoulders dislocated. He beats Kong down. He's scratching, his chest all to pieces. He pushes pressure on his chest. And you get this moment, which is I think it's actually, I'm not a Godzilla fan, so I can't speak for Godzilla fans. And I don't mean the Godzilla fans that keep challenging me on every little thing I say, because I haven't seen no logic there. I've seen them try to twist and reinterpret everything in the movie to try and make it fit, some different interpretation. But when Godzilla reaches down and just growls in Kong's face, like, "Stay down, chump," he didn't say words, right? Because he's just growling. But it was really like, ooh, that's going from spending time with the Superman of Kong to like the Punisher of Godzilla all of a sudden. It was just like, it was gross. And Godzilla and King Kong at that point, he's beaten, right? I mean, he's his heart's slowing down, he's beaten, he's down. So you do see the definitive winner of this alpha, struggle there in that moment is Godzilla. The humans have to defibrillate Kong's chest, and they do that because they love him, because they know that that the girl and the I'm forgetting the characters' names, but the guy who becomes involved with them, and that was even cool too. I was really kind of thinking, I was worried at first that they were going to make every actual man character silly, like Josh, like Millie Bobby Brown's character's friend. I was thinking they're going to make all the men just silly or stupid or weak or evil, but they didn't. Skarsgård's character actually was quite well done. But they defibrillate Kong because they care about him. Now, then it turns out that he's needed to help Godzilla to fight Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla, the robot. Let me get the super chat because I really like this real quick before I get to Mechagodzilla. Owen Lister, thank you again for the $4.99 super chat. Man, you're very generous, sir. Thank you. I look at Kong's axe as Excalibur. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, because I'm glad you brought that up, because in in the hero's journey, the heroes are often given a weapon that's unique to them, a weapon or a power that's unique to them. Only they can use that. Only they can wield it, or it's suited for them. And Kong, that axe scepter thing, that's for him, right? That's from his ancestors. That's for him. It was in the throne room that was his rightful place down there. And what's interesting about that is I'll get to in a second. So we're talking about Mechagodzilla. They're trying to control Mechagodzilla, the humans, but the whatever telepathic entity or presence of Ghidorah that's still in there ends up taking over. So Mechagodzilla is this sentient, kind of controlled by the ghost of Ghidorah, if you want to say that, So a great evil unleashed again. And Ghidorah's wiping the floor with Godzilla. I mean, Godzilla's no match for Ghidorah. I mean, for Mechagodzilla. It looks rough. Who knows what could have happened maybe later, but yeah, he's about to pretty much take out Godzilla, and it's not until Kong intervenes. Now think about this. And again, I'm not trying to trash talk Godzilla. I think Godzilla is a great character for what he is. He's a primal force of nature, a benevolent one, but a primal force of nature, not an evolved, cognitive, compassionate hero. He's a benevolent force of nature hero. And that's great. That's great. But where he was just attacking wherever the primal urge said attack, whether that's Kong, whether that's the telepathic energies from Ghidorah, Kong has just been defibrillated. He's just coming gasping for breath back to life. This brute, according to his mind anyway, Godzilla has just attacked him, taken him out, brutally attacked him. And his little girl, Kong's little girl, because remember, this is what he's there for, to protect that little girl. She tells him, he's not your enemy. He's not your enemy. He needs help. That Mechagodzilla is the enemy. Okay, now we know all the things that the story wants to tell Kong at that moment, but it can't, because she's a little girl. How much does she really understand about this? And how much could Kong really comprehend, at this point? And he's also just talking through sign language and whatnot. But we know, of course, that Godzilla needs to stay that alpha, unless Kong's going to take his place. But there's reasons why Kong can't take his place as the prime alpha of the upper world, So Godzilla needs to stay the alpha, right? Because he's the benevolent one, and he'll keep all the Titans in order. So think about the growth in Kong's character there. The growth in Kong's character to realize, yeah, I need to go help this creature that just brutally took me out. I need to go help him now. That shows incredibly higher cognitive thinking, so much more than just the primal drives that made Godzilla need to attack Kong. That's huge. That's huge. Let me get to Divine Comedy Productions. welcome, sir. Thank you for the rest of the super chat. Says, what do you think of Mechagodzilla's role in terms of myth? I was thinking more of a Frankenstein-like abomination. That's a really good point. And let me get to that in a second, because I want to finish talking about this to where I get to that to Kong's weapon and how that symbolizes the wonderful teamwork that happened between Godzilla and Kong, which is really sweet. And then Alec Purdue, thank you so much for the super chat. Very much appreciate you, sir. Says, I love Kong's expression, like, I need to save this guy after what he did to me. It was kind of cool. There are a lot of places in the film where they put expressions on Kong. He's still a titan, he's still a big ape, but because he's a primate, because he's a mammal, we can kind of read a little bit more, expressions, and I can remember when he first woke up on Antarctica and he looks around, he's like, like he did this little shiver that was like, oh, he's cold, so yeah, he's got great expressions throughout. So yeah, let me get back to the mythology, like what role Mechagodzilla plays in this battle. Kong does take the attention of Mechagodzilla, so Godzilla can regroup and attack again, and they're both they're doing a really cool like tag team, not tag team, but together. They're really attacking quite well and fighting quite well. And I mean, the Kong is more vulnerable to Mechagodzilla than Godzilla is. Godzilla's hide, you can see, isn't really going to be pierced by Mechagodzilla's tail, at least not as easily. If Mechagodzilla's tail actually slices into Kong, that's gonna, it could rip in and take his heart out. I mean, that's, Kong is way more vulnerable to Mechagodzilla than Godzilla is, So Kong is definitely there. He's not the one he's the hero who takes out Mechagodzilla. No, he's just the assist. But he's needed. He's a necessary assist. Godzilla's the one that needs to take him out, but he's needed. He's necessary. So at one point, which I love, Mechagodzilla has Kong down, and I think if I remember correctly, he's kind of knocked Godzilla over. And he's about to pretty much finish off Kong, but Kong's holding his axe there. And we remember the axe was able to hold that energy, the core energy of the earth, the atomic energy. And Godzilla, this is a moment where Godzilla actually expresses a little bit of cognitive thinking, which I think is really cool. So you can maybe make the argument that maybe they're trying to evolve Godzilla into a character like that too. That'd be cool, because he does realize enough there. I need to help Kong, and by helping Kong, I need to empower his weapon. So Godzilla uses his atomic breath to charge up Kong's axe there, and then with that charge, Kong's able to just like slice Mechagodzilla to pieces, and it was awesome. It was epic. It absolutely was like an Excalibur moment. But the twist to it was even if we saw Godzilla definitively win the primal Titan, match there, it didn't end with that. We did get the team up, and in that team up, we have Godzilla. We have, first of all, Kong realizing that, I do need to help this guy. He's not my enemy as much as I might think it is, even with the way he's acting towards me. And then you have Godzilla realize, I need to help Kong. There's some teamwork there. So the power, the weapon that's uniquely suited for our hero, the Excalibur to our King Arthur, or this axe to our Kong there, is actually empowered by an ally. That's really sweet. That's really awesome. That's a cool twist on it. And it makes me so want to see more team-ups between Kong and Godzilla. Especially, and again, guys, I have no axe to grind about Godzilla. I don't have anything against him. I'm just telling you, the movies do not show him to be on the same level, cognitive functioning and aspirational hero type as Kong. They just don't so far. Because after Mechagodzilla's down, and it's a big deal, right? And Kong and Godzilla kind of take a moment to get up and sort of, actually Godzilla gets up first, because Kong's really been through the ringer at this point. Godzilla gets up first and is walking towards Kong like, all right, another alpha I got to take out. And Kong, you can see Kong like in another one of those expression moments, like Alec Purdue said, he's like, oh man, again. And he gets up and he's got his axe and he's ready for him. And there's this moment, we don't see Godzilla back down. Godzilla is, I'm the alpha, I'm going to take you out. Kong is the one who, right there as they're doing a standoff, Kong looks at his axe and drops the axe. Kong is the one saying, I don't want to engage in these alpha fights. Now, maybe he would have killed Kong if he did. You don't know. But Kong is the one who says, I'm evolving past that. I'm not one of the primal titans that fights you for primacy over, the influence on the other titans over the earth. I mean, they've evolved past that, and he's evolved past that at this point. He's a father figure, quote unquote. He's learning to communicate. He's always been a caretaker of his immediate realm, not a caretaker of the world. And Godzilla can be that in terms of the influence he has on other titans. Kong understands all that and drops that axe. That's such an amazing moment. Now, when he does that, that's when Godzilla turns around and walks into the ocean. So all we know is that Godzilla perceived this guy's no longer a threat. He's not challenging me for my place or whatever. So he goes off into the ocean. It's very possible that they could be planning on, maybe when I read the novelization too, that's fine, but it didn't show it in the movie. So you can't just use that as an excuse. Maybe they're going for the direction of Godzilla starts to realize it too. Maybe Godzilla starts to realize and kind of grow a little bit cognitively too. That's fine. That's great. But it's Kong's movie, and Kong is the one with that character progression. And Kong has a place, an aspirational hero archetype place, and a place there that Godzilla doesn't. Now let me get to the question about Mechagodzilla and his mythological archetype. But first, let me get to Alec Purdue's super chat here. For $10. Thank you very much. Very generous, sir. So I kind of got that sense that Godzilla and Kong had entered some sort of shared light. It was really expressed well in the rising sun at the end, a dual evolution of their character. That's a good point. The light, the rising sun. Yeah, that's I forgot about that, but you're right. Sun at the end, the night time's over, So yeah, I mean it's such a rich moment, because you've seen Godzilla have the awareness and the recognition that I need to work with this guy and empower Kong's weapon. And then for whatever reasons, he does confront Kong, but when Kong drops the axe, he turns around. So there's such a rich moment that we could have so much more development here. That's why I'm praying that we get more movies, more comics, more movies. We need this universe to continue because it's just epic. I mean, there's so much more they could do, So yeah, good point. Now, before I get to the end and what happens in the end, let's get back to Mechagodzilla. In terms of like an archetype, what he is, there is a shadow archetype. And this is often it's overdone. Sometimes it's way, way overdone in especially superhero stories. For a while there, it was like every villain in a superhero story was the shadow archetype, and it's really annoying. The shadow archetype is somebody who has all of the same powers and abilities as the hero, but is evil. So the reason why that's useful is you bring in a shadow type villain, a shadow archetype villain to fight the hero, so that the hero can prove that they are more than just their powers. They are more than just their abilities, So when Superman in any story has to fight General Zod, he didn't in Man of Steel, but he's supposed to show that he's more than just his powers. He's his brains, his allies, his heart, his compassion. These are the things that make him a hero, not just his powers, right? A good Venom story. That's why I can't fathom watching that Venom movie without Spider-Man in it, because it's a perfect shadow villain. He's the shadow villain for Spider-Man with the same powers and everything. And then Parker has to prove why it's not just his powers that make him a hero. In fact, Venom ends up having more powers than him, right? Because he was stronger with Venom. And then when he rejects Venom, because he realizes it's an evil entity, he doesn't want that influence, he's going up against a much stronger villain. Not only just stronger, but stronger with his powers stronger. That's freaking huge. Why would you take an amazing opportunity for a Venom story, especially since we didn't really get the story we should have had in Spider-Man 3, and just waste it on a standalone character? That was a bummer. Owen Lister's going off to bed. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate your super chats tonight and appreciate your comments and thoughts there. So Mechagodzilla is the shadow villain. And that plays out very nicely here with Godzilla, because Godzilla is suddenly he had to take out Ghidorah before last time, and that was hard for him to take out Ghidorah. I mean, that was a really cool story progression in Godzilla King of Monsters. Like I said, you're 100% rooting for Godzilla. It's amazing how he does that, how people rally around him as their chosen titan, to rule them and help him take out. It's wonderful. And now he's fighting Ghidorah again, but Ghidorah in his own kind of resemblance, as Mechagodzilla. With all of the same, he's got the atomic, it's not really atomic breath, I guess, but it's some sort of beam breath like Godzilla has. And he's got, the same, the tail, the strength, the rigid scale, metal and stuff like that. And Godzilla is powerless to defeat him when it comes to strength against strength alone. This is how good shadow villain archetypes work out, and as they should, right? This is because you want to show that the hero, in this case Godzilla, is more than just he's more than just the sum of his powers, because you want to bring in a villain that has his same powers but greater. So that's what Mechagodzilla was. And how did Godzilla defeat the shadow villain archetype? Teamwork. This is classic archetypal stuff. It's wonderful with King Kong, and recognizing that only Godzilla could charge Kong's axe at that point. Kong would have died. Kong was helpless at the hands of Mechagodzilla if Godzilla didn't charge up Kong's axe. And that's how they were able to beat him. So it was teamwork and a little bit of cognition, right? A little bit of cognitive development in Godzilla there to realize Mechagodzilla. So yeah, in terms of mythological archetypes, hopefully I answer your question. He's the shadow villain archetype. And what I mean by shadow is that comes from Jungian psychology, our shadow selves. They're all the things within us that we, your shadow in terms of Jungian psychology is that which you hide from the world. It's like Freud's id, but Jung developed it a little bit more into the shadow. Things that you don't want to come to light, things that you don't want to admit about yourself, the dark side of yourself. Now, the answer, of course, is to integrate your shadow. Don't deny it or it will overcome you. You have to find ways to integrate it for the good, not for the evil. Give it something to do. So, for example, if your shadow is uncontrollable anger, put your shadow to work when it's cases of righteous indignation or something like that. That's a whole nother wealth of stories that could be told, because Mechagodzilla is a mech. They can easily bring him back, so these are great other stories to be told between Godzilla and Mechagodzilla. That's why they need to continue the universe. So in terms of the ending of the movie, so you might think, well, why did you being such a Kong fan? Because I've known that, and Alec Purdue was telling me too, that some of the other channels who are really big Kong fan, like Team Kong, like I am, were really apparently pretty upset that that Kong didn't win that alpha struggle. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it played in perfectly to the themes that they'd been developing with Kong throughout the entire movies. No, Kong's not supposed to win some alpha male primal titan struggle. Kong's supposed to evolve cognitively past that to the point where, how does it end? Godzilla rules Earth up there. He's the head titan as still as it was. King Kong goes back to his ancestral home in Hollow Earth, and he's there ruling Hollow Earth. And what has he always wanted throughout the movie? What does he keep signing? I forget the sign for home, something like that. But he wants home. He wants his home, not just for him, but for the little girl. Because remember, the little girl was an Iwi child there on Skull Island. And when the storm and everything, what you read about that in Kingdom Kong, but when that killed out Skull Island, he didn't only lose his home, but she lost her home too. So he's trying to, protect her, get her home as well. And he does that eventually. Hollow Earth becomes that, and he's there to rule Hollow Earth. Hollow Earth's a brutal place, as we saw when they first get there. It's a dangerous place, so he's there to rule it and provide some sort of balance there. You also get the idea and again, I'll do a proper review of these next week, but in Kingdom Kong, that Skull Island itself is kind of rejecting Kong at that point. He should go back to his home, which you find out is Hollow Earth, So it's a great story. It's a great arc. I didn't feel cheated, and I was so afraid that I was going to. I was really afraid that with the movies thus far, which had done such a great job, they'd been really well told stories. I understand. I hear a lot of people who are fans of like classic Godzilla movies, and I'm not. I've never watched them, so I can't speak to that. But I heard that a lot of them weren't really happy with the 2014 Godzilla. I get that. I don't understand it because I'm not a Godzilla fan, but that's fine. But what I so much appreciate about the 2014 film and all of these movies is that they 100% stayed true to the themes and the story they were developing. They never backed down and said, "Oh, we got to make sure that this isn't that over here." They continued with this story, and it ended up winning people over. They knew they had a story to tell. They knew they had a specific hero role for Godzilla and a specific hero role for King Kong. So that in the end, in Kong versus Godzilla, none of it felt like a contrivance. None of it felt like, this was just a silly movie to get them two to fight. It wasn't Batman v Superman, right? That's the key. It wasn't Batman v Superman, which is one big ridiculous contrivance. This was organic to both of the characters, to their places, to both of the characters' places that they should have in this universe. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. It was I was so thrilled at watching the end of it. And is that the last moment when Kong's swinging around Hollow Earth and he looks over to the girl that he's protected and to signs to her home. You know, he's home, you're home. The acting was great. I didn't really see a weak link in the actors. Maybe Millie Bobby Brown's friend, Josh, that character, I don't necessarily know if the actor did a bad job, but his character was just annoying. It was like, oh, we get it. The dumb fat guy, you know, we get it. But they didn't do that with all the guys in there, so that was kind of cool. You know, like I said, Skarsgård's character was really quite well done. You also have the father thing mirrored in, and again, I'm sorry, I can't remember the actors' names or the characters' names, but Millie Bobby Brown's character, Madison is her name. Her father, you know, we had a father-daughter theme going in Godzilla King of Monsters with the two of them, and that continued here. And in Godzilla King of Monsters, it was able to mirror Kong's father relationship with the girl that he's protecting. So you got that, you know, the themes are right there of the fatherhood. And you could even, it may be reading a little bit into it, but you could even say Godzilla is sort of the father of the Titans, you know, trying to maintain there. It was good. It was good. Millie Bobby Brown. I see. It's some. I don't know if that's Chinese or Japanese lettering, but it says Millie Bobby Brown is a Mary Sue. She sucks. She usually does play those roles. I don't think she played it in Stranger Things up until season 3 when she 100% all the girls in that did. But yeah, she likes those roles. We've seen that with her Sherlock, you know, nonsense. And I guess looking back on it, I don't mind so much if all of the female characters were like her, then yeah, that's really crappy, you know. But at the same time, she did kind of have her flaws, her mindless devotion to this podcaster, you know, and she was pretty reckless, you know. She shouldn't have done some of these things that she did. It wasn't as prevalent, so it didn't bother me there. And I'm trying to remember. It's been a little while since I've watched Godzilla King of Monsters. I'm reading it now, but I don't remember if that was a problem. But yeah, I like the films. I had no problem with it. I was really JTIS Reborn says that this movie was cut down a lot, though. The original cut was an hour longer. That's interesting. Is there any possibility or any news that they might release a director's cut? I imagine they'd have to. That's why would they leave that money off the table? There's no reason why they shouldn't. People would buy it. You put out the product, people are going to buy it. Yeah. So if they put out a director's cut, that'd be sweet. I'd love to see that. And then I'd like to see if that extra hour of material holds up of the you know, the cut we had here. That'd be pretty sweet. That's interesting. Yeah, I'd like to know that. That's pretty cool. Whew, I have talked quite a bit. Get a little something to drink here. Let's see. King G says the novel explains a lot and goes through Godzilla's mind and what he's thinking. Every character has a motive. The Godzilla versus Kong novelization. I'm going to read that. The thing about novelizations is it's you never know how a novelization came about. Sometimes it is a writer who's hired to do the novelization. They'll be given the script, which is the original script sometimes. So you will see them write out what the original vision for a film was in a novel form. And then later, when the directors are actually making the movie, they're actually making changes to that script and rewrites on set and so forth. So sometimes the novelization can be what the original vision of a movie was. That's not always the case, though. That's not always the case. At other times, you can have the author who was hired to make the novelization, to write the novelization, interject their own stuff into it. So, you know, however, Godzilla versus Kong, we won't really know if it's how the movie was originally dreamed to be until we actually see that original cut. Alec Purdue, thank you very much for the super chat there, says release the Wingard cut. Oh, okay, so that's the original cut. Okay, cool. I don't really follow hashtags anymore on Twitter or anything, so I don't know if that's a thing. I did finally come back to Twitter. I didn't want to, and I'm not there in capacity as Professor Geek. I'm not. I just wanted to follow some of the old rock bands and stuff like that I like to follow. Sammy Hagar and stuff like that I follow. So Aerosmith and whatnot. So I've been following them on there but I'm not really active. I'm not doing anything following hashtags or anything. Divine Comedy Productions, another $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. Very much appreciated. I have mixed feelings about Mechagodzilla's design, but I did kind of like the feel, and I like his big monstrous claws. Gave a more unnatural vibe. You're right. Yeah. Now I've never even seen the original Mechagodzilla. So you guys can tell me what are some of the big changes that it made, and let me know why. Let me know why you think that's a problem. I've never seen it, so I don't know. But like you're saying here, Divine Comedy Productions, I do like the fact that he was the same size as Godzilla, and he had all the same features, like the scales going down the back, down the tail, the same shape of eyes, the atomic breath. But there were key differences, and the coloring was different. You could see that this was a metallic, this was a man-made creature versus the organic Godzilla. So I like the look of that, but I don't know. You know, you guys tell me what the original Mechagodzilla looked like, and what were some of the differences you think are a problem. I'd be interested in hearing that. Definitely. So yeah, I am reading. Once I finish up Godzilla King of Monsters novelization, I will read Godzilla versus Kong novelization, and then I'll probably do another video on it, because I'd like to keep the fandom and keep the buzz going for this movie. It's kind of like for Battle Angel Alita. There's no reason why Battle Angel Alita shouldn't have had a sequel, other than Disney just decided to kill it. Let's just be honest, for reasons that it didn't match their feminist, their third wave, new wave feminist agenda. This was a very second wave type of film. You had her, she had a love interest and a father, and Disney wanted to just push the nonsense Captain Marvel garbage, sister don't need nobody, kind of stupid stuff, which just makes for a dull, boring character. But there's no reason, with all the buzz and the way that the fans kept it going. They eventually did get reissues in the theater of Battle Angel Alita. And I was trying to do my best. I was reviewing the novelizations of that, as well as did I review the comic? I don't think I ever reviewed the manga. That was a lot to get into, but the different editions, the collector's editions, I purchased that and everything like that. So I don't see any agenda holding back the MonsterVerse. Because the masculinity thing with Kong and whatnot, that was so subtle in there that your average woke ideologue isn't even that clever or smart enough to pick that up. So I can't see an agenda, unless you count the stupid Snyder Bros out there. You're like, let's bomb Kong versus Godzilla to give them retribution for Snyder Cut. It's so dumb. But it makes me think, though, that if we do keep a buzz going, if we do really keep it going with the Legendary Monsterverse, talking about it, not letting it go, on your Twitter hashtags and whatnot and stuff like that, that they've got to get the message and put out more stuff. I can't imagine they wouldn't, definitely. Let's see, switching back and forth from StreamYard to here. Oh, JT Reborn said the son of Dr. Serizawa was in this movie. His role was cut down a lot. Also, Dr. Chen from King of Monsters was cast in this movie, but it was cut. Oh, that's a bummer. I like that the comics carry these characters on a bit. Like Dr. Houston, for example, from Kong Skull Island is in, he was in King of Monsters, but he was in the Kingdom Kong comic as well. And Serizawa was such a great character. So it'd be really cool to see his son, because, the prequel Godzilla Awakening comic was dealing with his father, and his father was such a influence on him. He talked about him a lot in the Godzilla movie. It makes sense for his son to come in. Again, we're passing down this generational thing, because outside of just necessarily fatherhood, you do have this generational theme in the films too, because the Titans every so often would rise up. So not every generation, but every so often, this has all happened on Earth before. You get the idea. Pretty sweet. Just looking at those themes. Alec Purdue, another super chat. Thank you very much, sir, for $5. Says the only concern is that Toho won't renew Legendary's rights. Oh, to use Godzilla and their monsters in this film franchise. Okay, so I didn't know anything about that. The business stuff going on. That's a shame. Why wouldn't they? I mean, is it just pride or something like that? Because I would imagine, I know that Angry Video Game Nerd, that's one character, but what's the guy's name? Matt, I forget. Blanking on his name right now, but I know he's a big Godzilla fan, and he's talked about the actual Toho. They did like another Toho movie or something like that around the same time they did 2014 movie, I think, if I remember that correctly. So I can only imagine that the legendary movies would only make the name of Godzilla more popular. You know, why wouldn't they renew that license and it makes more people try and seek out their movies that they're doing, unless it's just a pride thing. You know, maybe Toho's as stupid as Warner Bros. Is when it comes to licensing, and the audience will get confused, things like that. I don't know. Samuel Proctor says, "Have you seen the original Godzilla? If so, what did you think?" No, I'm just not a Godzilla fan. I don't. What I mean is, I'm not a fan of kaiju movies in general. It's like old Godzilla movies. I don't have any interest in that. I have nothing against them. I'm sure they're great, but I do not want to watch them, and I won't. And that's okay. Darn it. But no, I have nothing against them. And Big Al, he's a huge kaiju fan. He's seen every single one of them. So that's why my analysis, is pretty Kong heavy, because he's kind of my way into these movies. But I do like Godzilla's arc in them too, quite a bit. Let's see, who else is going to read here? JTS Reborn says, "I wonder what's next for the MonsterVerse. It's either going to be an organically created Titans like Destroya or alien invasions." So yeah, I don't know. I know everybody wants Gamera in there, right? If I'm saying that right. I know Al's a big Gamera fan. I see Big Al here in the chat. Welcome, sir. But I mean, but I know there are rights issues where you couldn't really get him in there. But there's no reason they couldn't try to bring back Mothra or another. I mean, they really did kind of, really just blow the whole sack in there. With the Rodan, Ghidorah, all the Titans that they brought into the King of Monsters, which was cool. But then you had to kill a lot of them off. But you still have some of them actually alive and operating on Earth under Godzilla's benevolent kind of alpha force. So yeah, you could still do some things with some of the Titans we've already seen. Examine them a little bit more closely. I really like the big mammoth thing, which I think was probably made up Titan for these movies. But yeah, I don't see why. There's so many things they could do. So many things. Nathaniel Zalozball says, Toho says they would like to make their own cinematic universe. Well, I don't see why they couldn't do their own while Legendaries is doing theirs. I'm sorry, but the only way the audience transition works is people are going to go watch Legendary and then want to seek out Toho. Nobody that would have gone just to see a Legendary movie is going to go seek out a Toho movie if there's no Legendaries movies to turn them onto it. That's not going to work. The diehard Godzilla fans, many of you in the chat, yeah, you're going to go watch anything Toho will put out, but you would have done that anyway, whether Legendary's putting stuff out or not. Legendary's if Legendary did a cinematic universe, I can't see how in any way that would impede Toho from doing their own. It's a very different audience, and the crossover audience is of such an appetite that they're certainly not going to get tired and not want to go see the Toho after they see the Legendary ones. So I just don't see any big deal. Nathaniel says death and rebirth is a very big theme of Mothra. Okay, well that's perfect. That works then. Yeah, exactly. Big Al says Space Godzilla. Yeah. Samuel Proctor says, from what I've seen, the original completely different than any of the other movies. It's just Godzilla versus human cities. Yeah. I mean, I do know that. Basic history. Originally, Godzilla was just a monster. Just a stand-in natural threat. So I think unless anybody has anything else pressing here about it, I've kind of worn myself out here. To wrap it up, we've gone for about an hour of pretty much me straight talking. And I have to go do some packing. I am off to see my beautiful sound engraver tomorrow. So I've got some things to do and whatnot. But it's been really great hanging out with you guys. And hopefully you like this. Friday nights with the Prof here, doing some talk about, like I said, we can talk about some stuff that's in geek news, if that's relevant, if it's something I'm interested into. We can talk about some of this stuff analysis. One thing I do want to do is, before I did a stream talking about the Hard Rock comics, and we did Van Halen 1. I would love to do maybe next week. Maybe unless something else pressing comes in that we're definitely like I need to talk about that, we'll do rock and roll comics Aerosmith. I've got this one and part 2 over here somewhere. So we'll talk about Aerosmith, and that's my way of getting to stretch my channel out to talk about all the good hard rock bands that I love musically, but I get to link it to comics, so it's not just me like totally randomly taking on another subject. I'm following these hard rock comics that were released in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, that are really quite fun. So yeah, we did a Van Halen 1. I still need to do Van Halen 2 because the Van Halen 1 was just about the David Lee Roth years. I'm going to do the Sammy Hagar years, which is my favorite, eventually as well. But I thought we'd take a break and jump into some Aerosmith first. So that as of right now, that's the plan for next Friday. Talk about some Aerosmith through the rock and roll comics or hard rock comics. That's our gateway to talk about Aerosmith in general because I love Aerosmith. But that's what we'll do unless something pressing comes up, unless something like a hot button issue comes up, and I feel like I've got a lot to say about that or something. Because I can always make the hard rock comics their own individual videos too. So one way or another, we can do that. But check in with the chat here. My Sound Engraver says terrific stream. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Alec Purdue says it was great. Thank you, Alec Purdue. Very much appreciated. Dev says it's fun. Dandy Spike, aka HAC, says it will be interesting to see how more people respond to the more recent Toho Godzilla films being more in line with horror and tragedy. Oh, interesting. 2016 Shin Godzilla is definitely more horror focused. Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I can't see the new audience that came to Godzilla through the Legendary movies. For the most part, I can't see them transitioning over to Toho's more horrific movies. Now, all of the Godzilla fans are going to consume it either way. They're going to see the Legendaries and the Toho. They don't care. They're going to see Godzilla, and that's fine. But yeah, so I can't. Yeah, I agree with you. I can't see that being a natural sway or bait. Nathaniel Lozball said this has been fun. Thank you for talking about my 2 favorite monsters heroes. Awesome. And yes, Schooner Tuna, thanks for reminding me. This is the year of the aspirational hero. I did say that when New Year's was there, and I got a little busy, but yeah, I need to get back to that with my heroic recommendations. I do have some on the table that I still want to talk about. And now that I'm actually freed up schedule wise, I can actually read through some of these fresh again and make some notes and do the recommendations. So and the first of those will be next week, which will be recommending Kingdom Kong and doing a review. Hopefully I'll be able to recommend the Godzilla one too, which I'm sure I will be if they're of the same quality. So that's coming up next week. So thank you guys. Appreciate all of the interaction you guys gave. That was a lot of fun. A lot of great good comments and thoughts. Sorry I can't just go through and read all the comments like usual, but with this many people in, which is awesome. We had like 50 people at one point. That was great. With this many people in the chat, I can't really read through every comment. And then when I've got so much to say myself, we'll be here all night, So, but I appreciate the comments. Those that I was able to read, many of them that I saw down there that I didn't get to read, and I'll go back and look at some. So thank you very much. It was just awesome to hang out with you guys. And I'll be back with more usual what's happening on my channel. I'm trying to schedule a Heroic Inspirations video on Wednesday. Well, actually, I'll tell you because it's no secret. But I've been, RJ's talked about it too from the Fourth Age. We've been back and forth a couple times trying to schedule something, and we're both very busy. But I'd like to have him on Wednesday. He hadn't confirmed that. I don't know if Wednesday's a good night for him. Maybe we'll have to pick something else. But he's somebody I'm trying to have on the Inspiration of Heroes stream. And then Thursday night, I'll be doing another gameplay stream of Knights of the Old Republic. I'm trying to get through that story arc before we enter into the Darth Bane trilogy on our book studies to pick those back up. But those are the live streams coming up, and then of course more standalone videos. So thanks a lot. Great hanging out with you guys. Until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love.